Hello Libra, hello Libra. This is Adrian Igo, Capricorntigress of Astrology, a look inside, coming to you with your monthly horoscope for December 2018. Anyway, you are my last reading of the month. And I procrastinated to the very last moment. And it is now the 30th of November, and tomorrow is December. So I'll definitely have to upload these and maybe premiere them so that you guys can get a hold of your information like soon, right? So as I look at your chart, Libras, I want to say that I feel that most of December is a month where you can, it's all under the horizon. You know, your everything really except the North Node is, and Uranus and Mars will be going up to the 7th house, but really everything. The Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter are in the solar 3rd house in Sagittarius for most of the month. And Venus and Mercury teeter-totter around the 2nd house in Scorpio for some of the month. And then Pluto and Saturn are in the 4th house of Capricorn, and the Sun is going to join that Pluto and your Saturn on the 21st of December. And then you've got Mars, Neptune, and Chiron in the 6th house, and Mars going between the 6th and the 7th, and Uranus in the 7th. The North Node's in the 10th. So when I look at this, the first thing I want to say is that, you know, there are going to be some stressful aspects to Libra during the month. Between the North Node going into Cancer, that's going to affect you late degree Libras that are born late in Libra. That Saturn in Capricorn is definitely going to affect those of you in the early degrees, as well as that Saturn and that Uranus in Aries, which would be opposing Libra. That also lets me know that Aries and that Aries Mars and that Uranus Aries and Uranus in the 7th house really indicates that there's going to be some possible upheaval in your partnership or romantic partnership, like your serious partnership or marriage or business partnership. And this is because Uranus does that by nature. Wherever it goes, it shakes everything up and breaks it apart. But the thing is, Mars is also going to end up going there during the month. And that could signify arguments and disagreements in your marriage. So I want you to be really cautious of that there is this kind of negative force that could be affecting your relationships, your deepest partnerships or your business partnerships this month. Also, don't forget that for most of the month, Mercury is, or in the beginning of the month, Mercury is retrograde in Scorpio. And then Venus is also going from being, it's already direct, but it's going from Scorpio in, coming in from Libra. This a lot of emphasis because of that. You'll have a little bit of emphasis in your 2nd house of money. There might be some confusion there because of that retrograde with Mercury. I really wouldn't gamble too much if I were you in the month of December. It just doesn't bode well for gambling at all. Not with that Mercury retrograding in the 2nd house. And it's just not a good time to do that at all. It's not supported. The Sun and Mercury and Jupiter in the 3rd house is good for communication, though. So you really could be communicating more and talking with people more and expressing yourself verbally more. I could that could be letters, it could be calls, it could be like webinars or anything of those natures. And it's so weird. As I'm reading to you Libras, a little lady with gray hair popped up from Facebook, and it just says, "Hello, please help me." So I'll definitely talk to her after I finish this reading. But there is also going to be some emphasis down in that solar fourth house as well, because the sun is going to go from Sagittarius into Capricorn on the 21st. And when it does, it's going to go into that solar fourth house. And Pluto and Saturn is there as well. That could indicate that you've had some power struggles, or, you know, yeah, Pluto in the fourth house just kind of means that you could be having like power struggles, like maybe some hidden passive aggressiveness or something like that could be happening. Just be aware of it, because when you've got Pluto in the fourth house like that, it's a very long transit. It's not something you're going to deal with and get over it like today, because what'll happen is it'll just keep retrograding back over these areas again and again and again until you get the lesson. So, I mean, that's the secret, is to get the lesson that Saturn wants us to learn. And so, yeah, that's what you're being shown. But the thing is, Saturn is there and Pluto is there. So it is a lesson, right? So Pluto teaches a lesson, Saturn teaches a lesson, then the sun comes after the 21st. It's the fourth house. I would protect your home. I would secure my home. I would do all those things that would, you know, cautious things with my home. Security systems, double the locks. I mean everything. Beware of theft, because Pluto is the dark forces, and wherever Pluto is, there's always the potential for darkness to creep in. So be aware of that. There could be jealousies of your home, because Pluto often indicates jealousies. And the amazing thing is that with the North Node in Cancer, it's now opposing the fourth house of the home. And, you know, that's up in the 10th house. It's saying that, yeah, over the next year or so, your emphasis really should be in your career, like your public life, your public acclaim, your reputation, your image, that type of thing. But really with Pluto and Saturn, because Saturn is the natural ruler of the 10th house, and it's opposing its own home. It's down in the fourth house where it doesn't belong, where it does not like to be. And it's not a good place to have Saturn. Usually when Saturn is in the fourth house, I tell people it's not the time to push forward, like with your deepest goals, dreams, desires, but it's a time for consolidating. In your case with Saturn in that fourth house and Pluto in the sun, it's time for shoring up your foundation, whatever that means. I mean, if that means you're getting married, okay. If that means you're buying a new house, okay. If that means you got to get a new car and sleep in your car, okay. That means you got to buy an RV and live in that RV, okay. I mean, whatever safe and secure means to you, Saturn is asking you to shore that up and make sure you're safe and secure. So, you know, it's going to be there a little while longer. You have a little time to master this, but I would definitely work on it. And I wouldn't try to, you know, push forward my greatest dreams during this time, because it's just not that period of time. In a few years, or in a year or so, when Saturn goes on the rise out of the fourth and it moves into the fifth house of gambling, taking chances, entrepreneurial ventures, love, romance, children, fun, parties, dancing, all that good stuff. Once it goes there, Saturn, even if Pluto stays in the fourth, it'll start to feel less heavy, because Saturn and Pluto are two very heavy dudes, okay? These are two heavy planets, and they are not playing around, and that's the fourth house. You could experience endings. I wouldn't say sudden endings, because Uranus is over in the seventh house, but right now, but yeah, I mean, you could have sudden endings of your major relationship. That would definitely disrupt your marriage and home. So be cautious of those kind of things, especially with Mars going into the seventh house as well with Uranus. There might just be a crazy, silly argument that really should not have occurred. And a lot of it might have to do with power struggles, because Pluto in the fourth house tends to roll power struggles in the home. Someone wants to be dominant over, the other partner or over everyone. And just be aware of this, because it could be something that's affecting you and the rest of your family. Also, I just wanted to state that with Mars and Neptune and Chiron in that solar sixth house for most of the month, with Pisces in the sixth house anyway, you tend toward more creative, artistic pursuits. It's not the sturdiest, steadiest place to have these planets. And I'm thinking if you are working on creative pursuits, you probably will have a better chance of taking advantage of Mars in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, and Chiron in Pisces. And at one point, Mars does leave Pisces and go into it goes into the sign of Air, it goes into Aries, which is that seventh house, and I talked about that a little bit. So this has been basically my reading for you, Aries, or excuse me, Libra. I did Aries right before you, and the funny thing is, I just wanted to say, when Uranus and Mars are in Aries in your solar seventh house, that actually puts an emphasis on your first house, because that's an opposition, right? So when the seventh house is highlighted, the first house is highlighted in opposition. So be aware that Mars is opposing your first house. Be aware that Uranus is opposing your first house. You might find that your partner is erratic or combative toward you. But whatever is occurring, it's important to know, especially if this is a long-term relationship, that what you're experiencing now is an aspect. It's temporary. It's a transit. It will pass. So don't make any rash decisions that could disrupt your home life or your marriage because of a bad vibe you're getting in the month of December. Okay, so that's my reading based on what I have here. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over the planets and their, the major aspects for the month of December 2018. I will start by saying tonight, which is, it's almost officially the first, but it's November 30th, that Venus was in opposition to Uranus today. And as I mentioned earlier, Uranus is in your solar seventh house, and Venus would be in your first house in Libra. And so there is a possibility that there could have been some love issues, or, some issues with your partner or something like that. Hold on, I just feel like I need some lip gloss. That feels wonderful. Okay. On December 1st, Mercury enters Scorpio. And that Scorpio falls in your second house of money. Now Mercury is going direct right now, or is it going? No, it's retrograding. So be aware of that. I think I mentioned that earlier, but Mercury is retrograding in your second house of money. And that could indicate some issues occurring with your finances. So be really cautious of that, and keep an eye on your money while Mercury is retrograding in that second house like that. The Sun is square Mars on the 2nd, and that Sun is in the solar 3rd house, and Mars is in that solar 6th house. You know, it's funny, when I think about the 3rd house and 6th house, it just right away I think about communicating at work or talking about your health. Either one of those things pop in my mind when I think about that Sun square Mars going on. So you might find yourself communicating more about your health that day, but just be cautious that there's no hidden anger, because it is a square, and it is an angry square. On the 5th, the Sun is square Neptune, and that Sun once again is in that solar 3rd house, and Neptune once again is in that solar 6th house. So you've got that same emphasis going on between communication and work, or communication and your health. I'm thinking talking about your health. It could manifest in strange ways, like you are getting rides to and from work, or to and from grocery stores, or to and from different appointments locally, because the 3rd house rules local travel, local communication, and so it could be something like that, where that's what's being affected. Like maybe something occurs between the communication and getting to work or something. So it's just one of those weird squares, but just be aware that there is going to be quite a bit of emphasis throughout of all of December between your solar 3rd house of communications and your solar 6th house of work and health and diet and exercise. You might find that you have energy, that you're sparked with this newfound energy to work out or diet or exercise in the month of December. I could see how that could happen. The new moon in Sagittarius occurs on December 6th, and that is again your 3rd house of communications. You'll have a new moon there on the 6th, which will indicate that you might be able to start something new in that area of communications. Maybe a new, I don't know, a new contract, some new conversation of some sort. I would think if you start new conversations on the 3rd with someone, that it may lead to, good communications throughout the relationship, because Jupiter is there and Mercury is there and the Sun is there, and now the new moon is there in Sagittarius in that 3rd house. So it's a very packed house right now. Mercury goes direct in Scorpio, and that is in your solar 2nd house. But again, like I said, it was retrograde before. Now it's going direct, which means you might be a little bit luckier when it comes to things like finances and the things you own and possessions, and even things at your home, because that is like the natural home of Taurus or something. So just be cautious of that, because I'm just thinking that might actually start to get a little bit better once Mercury goes direct in Scorpio. And on that same day, December 6th, Mars is conjunct Neptune. So once again, there's emphasis on that solar 6th house, because Mars and Neptune are in your solar 6th house. And it is an indication that you could be disappointed or disillusioned at work. I mean, you might had your hopes up for maybe a promotion or a project or something where a raise or something where you got some recognition, but you know it's hard to get recognition right now for you with Saturn down in the fourth and Pluto down in the fourth, and it could be that you feel some delusionment that day, and so that's possible. Just be aware that, you know, it's not a very strong time for your work life or your health. So don't overdo it with your health. Don't overdo it at work. Be kind to your co-workers. You know, bide your time to get out of this phase when everything is sitting in your solar sixth house in this way. Now, the good thing is that Chiron does go direct on the 8th of December. And that is a good thing because Chiron is the wounded healer, and with it being in your solar sixth house, you may have been feeling that your work is dead end. Like, what am I doing here? It's not going to lead to anything. It's like a pain in your side. And if you've been really feeling really down about your work or your health, well, when it goes direct, when Chiron goes direct, this will give you an opportunity to try to heal those areas of your life, like your health and your work. And that is going to start on the 8th of December. So, you know, let go of your hurts and pains and get ready to heal, especially in the area of work and your health. On the 12th of December, Mercury enters Sagittarius, and Mercury now leaves the second house and goes into your solar third house of communication, joining, you know, Jupiter and the Sun. And now there's more emphasis in communicating with others, and especially like your family members, extended family, like your brothers or sisters or cousins or aunts or uncles or nephews or nieces, those type of people, your neighbors. You might find yourself communicating more with them, but it should be really positive because Mercury it's a good communicator, and it's going to be in its own house. I mean, Mercury is the natural ruler of the third house, so it's going to be happy that it's home. But Jupiter and the Sun is there, so it's already bright and shiny and happy, and Jupiter is at home in Sagittarius, and it is just a beautiful experience. Now, don't forget that although Mercury is in Sagittarius and it is in the third house, that it is opposing its own sign of Gemini, which is up in the 9th house. And so you may find that there could be some conflicts with other people over, you know, deeply held beliefs and things like dogma and religion and politics and racism and education and all those heavy subjects like that. So you might want to avoid that, or avoid people who come at you that way, because this is supposed to be a very positive time for you as far as your communications are concerned. And so I would hate to see that squandered on silly disputes and arguments over philosophical beliefs that no one really has the real answer to anyway. On the 15th, the Sun in Sagittarius squares the Moon in Pisces. So again, that Sun is placing more emphasis in that solar third house of communications, local travel, like short distance travel, something that, you know, driving around in your automobile or in your neighborhood, or going to meet with family or cousins or aunts or uncles. Those are the kind of things that are highlighted when there's this much emphasis in that third house. And Sagittarius Sun is now square that, in that third house is now square that Moon, or the Moon in Pisces on the 15th. And the reason why that's important really for you is, don't forget, you had Chiron and Neptune and Mars in the 6th house in Pisces, and now you've got this moon in the 6th house in Pisces, which makes it very emotional, and the sun is squaring it from the 3rd house of communications, which means there could be friction and tension and stress when it comes to communicating at work. Maybe you have a run-in with a coworker. Maybe you get a tongue lashing from a superior. But whatever it is, it's square. And that means that it is uneasy. It is not an easy aspect. So do prepare for that. That is the 15th of December. And that's the sun in Sagittarius, square the moon in Pisces. Again, that's a lot of 3rd house, square 6th house, or communication, square work. On the 20th, the sun is trine Uranus. And the sun, once again, is in the 3rd house of Sagittarius. I mean, that community, you could just a month. But it's trine Uranus, which means you'll be able to talk and communicate to hopefully your partner, because that Uranus will be in the area of partnership. So I could see you maybe having a more pleasant discourse with your partner or your husband or wife or your business partner. That is good. I mean, I think it would be a good day to use your intuition and just go with the flow, really. Now, on the 21st, the sun enters Capricorn, and it is officially winter solstice. So happy winter solstice to everyone out there. But now that the sun has entered Capricorn, it's a signal that, well, one, winter's here, but it's a much more serious time of the year. Christmas is coming. There's probably snow or cold out where you are, and things get much more serious, a little bit more somber, a little darker. People get more business oriented, and they don't take as much crap. So just remember that now that the sun is in Capricorn, it's going to move that emphasis out of your communication sector into the 4th house or the home sector of family and the mother, and nurturing and caring and loving your family and feeding them and taking care of them, or conversely being fed and taken care of. This is that time. Okay? On the 21st as well, the same day, Venus is trine Neptune, and Neptune is in Pisces in that 6th house once again, and Venus is in Scorpio in the solar 2nd house. And so, first of all, Venus is home. That is the natural home of Venus, the 2nd house. Normally that's where Taurus would be. And so when Venus is home, even though it's in Scorpio and technically in its fall, it's going to feel more loving or have more intense or passionate feelings than normally. And the good thing is it's a trine. It's a trine to Neptune that's over in your 6th house. So I'm thinking, the 6th house is health or money, health or work. And the 2nd house is money. And I'm thinking that somehow your money is going to be enhanced by your work in some way. So, if you're one of those freelancers or someone who works on a commission, or you've been waiting for your checks to come in, this should be a month where that actually starts to occur. On the 25th of December, the moon is in Leo. And Leo is in your solar 11th house of hopes, dreams, wishes, and friends, which tells me hopefully you will have gotten what you most wanted and wished for Christmas this year, and that's a wonderful thing. On that same day, the moon in Leo trines Jupiter in Sagittarius. And so that moon up in that 11th house is now trining that Jupiter down in the 3rd house. And it's funny because it just indicates to me that you could get emotional over your deep friendship while you're communicating with them today. And I don't know if you'll be upset, as well as it'll just be a lot of conversing. And it is Christmas, so hopefully you'll be out at a Christmas party or something of that nature where you can talk and hobnob with people. On the 29th, the moon in Libra, or the moon is in Libra, okay? So that is an indication of balance in relationships. But that moon in Libra is square the sun in Capricorn that day. So that sun is down in your solar 4th house, and that moon is in your solar 1st house. I can see where your personality, there could be an argument or a disagreement with someone in your family, in your home. I would count to 10 before I said or did anything too weird. Maybe go out and take a walk if it gets too ugly. It's a transit, but it's so ugly that it could lead to something more devastating, like, a permanent breakup or something like that. So be cautious of that. And that's the 29th of December. Now, on the 31st of December, it's the last aspect of the month. Mars enters Aries, and Aries is the opposite sign of Libra. It's also indicating your solar 7th house or your area of partnerships. So when Mars is in Aries that way, that means Mars is in your solar 7th house. It means you might be more aggressive toward your partner, or you might be more active. Yeah, much more proactive in seeking out a permanent partner. And that could be, any permanent partner. So that's definitely that. So, Mars in the 7th house. Don't forget Uranus is in the 7th house. So, with Mars, that's action, and Uranus, that's unexpected action. So please be aware that there could be something unexpected and weird that happens in your partnership or marriage or business partnerships at the end of December, the 31st of December. Okay, you guys. Well, this has been my reading for you Libras for the month of December 2018. I want to thank you so much for your patience with me and getting your reading out. I admit I was procrastinating, as I am a master procrastinator. I admit it. But at least it's technically just a hair over the 1st of December, and I'll get this posted on YouTube ASAP. Once again, thanks so much for your patronage, for watching and liking and subscribing. And please take a moment to stop by astrologyaLookInside.com and subscribe to our website there. And if you're on Facebook, like our page on Facebook at facebook.com/astrologyaLookInside. And I also give free mini general readings in our Facebook group, and you can get to that group by going to facebook.com/groups/astrologyalookinside. Okay, everyone. Well, much love and light to all. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy New Year. Much love and light to you, Libra. Bye now.